So then I can bring this screen. Oops, don't want it to go really
So that's what they see?
They would see you.
Yep.
And they would see this. And you can toggle between the two. Oh, I think you're... Oh, there it is. Whoops. All right.
Was that you?
I think it was me. Pushing too many buttons. And then for you with the camera, this is the zoom.
Right.
And this is moving it around. And you can get me off the camera. And turning it up if you need to.
How do I talk to them? Or they can hear me?
They should be able to hear you. You have this lovely microphone. And it automatically would feed into them.
Okay.
So it's disconnected. And I'm going to be here tonight. I'm the person on duty, I guess you could call us. The only time that I will be out of this area is we have one class down the hall that I have to go check on.
Okay. Now what, I just have to...
It looks like the little laptop. And then you should be okay.
Okay. Oh my God.
I know.
How about a bathroom?
Right around the corner.
Let's start off.
you? Are you Kim?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Linda.
Hi, Linda.
How are you? Nice to meet you. Lovely, lovely day out, isn't it?
Isn't it beautiful?
It's
I
gorgeous.
love it.
Make yourself at home. You can sit there. Don't matter.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't matter.
We have. There's going to be 3 of us, but you and I are here,
Okay.
and then 2 other people, one in Brunswick and one in Presque Isle.
Yeah, it's the person I was taking my terminology with. She just stayed and went right through with coding.
Yeah.
And when I signed up, I said, they said, do your CMAA
Yeah.
with the terminology and then do
Your
the coding. Don't
Yeah.
do, if you're going to do CMAA, wait until after. Like,
Yeah. No, that's great.
and after doing some of my terminology homework, I'm really glad that I followed that advice.
Yeah, we had one girl that was is doing terminology now and decided to wait until that's over with and then join in next semester. So
Yeah.
So you finished terminology?
I first class was last night, so.
Oh, okay. So you're doing both at
Yeah.
the same time. Gotcha. Hopefully everybody else will be able to make it. Where are you from?
I am from Chapt, so it's about 50 minutes from here.
50?
Yeah.
Yeah.
45, 50, it depends on traffic. Like,
Yeah.
it was 50 exactly tonight because the weather was bad and everybody was kind of slow poking home, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you take your terminology here too? Did you come here
Yeah,
for
I did,
terminology?
yeah. Yeah, it was weird because I was actually out the door down around the corner.
Yeah, she was just explaining to me. She goes, sometimes here, sometimes you may not be. So we have
always
everybody
check in
coming
at
here.
the door. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, got it.
Yeah. Do you need me to move this a little bit?
Nope,
so
I'm
you
all
can
good
sit up?
because I'm actually folding this over.
How do you like your
So
surface?
I turn off my sound.
Is that a surface?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you like it?
I like it. It was funny because the girl I was taking the class with last night asked me the same thing. She goes, do you like your tablet? And I said, actually, yeah, I really do. She said, I don't like mine. And I
Does she
said,
have a surface?
Hmm?
Did she have a surface also?
I don't know. She didn't say what kind she had. And I was like, oh, okay. But I like it because I like having a notebook. And then I can transfer stuff over, like cut and paste and change it to text, and I love that. That's like my favorite part of it.
Yeah. I was gonna get that, but I don't know if I like that keyboard. That was my issue with
This one, you know, I've used it with like my regular keyboard, like I've plugged it in, and I've seen people that have had like a mini USB or a Bluetooth using it because you have to, if you're a person like my husband can't use this because he's like this.
Right.
He's a typer like this, and if you're used to kind of really pressing hard on the keys, then this is not a good keyboard. Everybody that I've had that is like used to having very raised, like you get higher than that you have to push down, and I'm not used to that. I'm used to very lightly typing, so it doesn't.
I think because my old computer before I got this one was real old and had the high thing, and when I tried it, I was like, I don't know if I like it.
If you're used to, like a lot of people that are used to these and the lower, the flatter keyboards now, and I had one friend who's actually using that projectable one. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen that one.
It's like this. It's like a little device, and it projects a keyboard onto whatever surface.
Really?
Whatever, and you just sit there. Looks like something out of Star Trek.
Oh, cool.
Like, oh, that's the coolest thing. I'm like, I could never do that. No. I even get frustrated when I have to use the keyboard on the tablet.
Yeah.
I rather just use my stylus and like write out what I want.
That's what I would do. Can't tell if somebody else is over there or not.
don't see anybody there yet.
There was somebody standing there.
I wonder with the weathers, where's the other location?
Well, the Presque Isle I'm worried about. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know
that's-
last night in terminology they came on a little late.
Later.
In Presque Isle. They were having trouble with the
Yep.
computer part of it, like having the webcam
Yeah.
and everything. So they
Hi
ended
there.
up having
Hi, I'm with Adult Ed. I'm just waiting for the students to get here, but nobody's
Okay.
arrived yet.
All right, I was wondering who you were. Thank you.
I like to give them a little bit.
Where are you located?
This is the Topsom, Brunswick.
Topsom? Okay.
We're at
Yeah,
Mount
you should
Arrowroot.
have, I believe Cindy's coming there.
Just one person?
Yes.
Okay, great. I do like to give them a little instructional thing about the Tandberg. It only takes a couple minutes, so.
No
I'll
problem,
just-
I'll listen in. It's my first
Oh,
time using
okay. All right, great. I'll leave it unmuted then.
Suppose we should change this tour.
Yeah, I don't know what was the weather like up in Presque Isle area. I don't know how it was
Well,
north.
I know they didn't have snow today. I did notice that.
Wyndham didn't.
I know,
and I
yeah.
know Chevrolet had an hour delay. Chevrolet had an hour delay, so they said because
Hi,
of the
Cindy, right? And you already did my registration form, didn't you?
Yesterday.
The other night?
Yeah. Okay, so I think you missed my little instructional thing I did.
Yeah.
And about the Tandberg, and they want to hear it. So
Okay.
I'll just do the little
Oh, great.
spiel I give, okay?
Okay.
So this is what the Tandberg should look like when you come into class. You should be able to see your instructor,
Oh,
which is the
okay.
top box, and our box is down there. If you position yourself a little, I can actually.
Am I the only one here tonight?
You are. I will pan this out a little bit. Let me see if I remember how to do it. There we go. There, now they can see you.
Hi, how are you, Cindy?
Hi.
I'm Linda.
Well, finding you.
Hi.
I have been having a little difficulty with it being on when I come over to check. So I'm going to meet with them and make sure they're doing everything right. I kind of have to start everything over, turn the Tandberg back on, turn the TV back on, and then I call Network Maine. So basically, what I want to show you is a couple things on the remotes. This is for the TV, this is for the Tandberg, and the instructors will often ask you to keep it muted if you're not talking, and that's this button. So if you point it toward the unit and you press this button, the one with the microphone,
That's a mute.
yep, you'll see it's going to pop up in the lower right.
Okay.
Press it again, and it's microphone on.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so then the other thing is this button right here. This is for the camera. You'll see there's a camera up there. And then if I wanted to pan the room, I would use these buttons right here. And it doesn't work. Okay, so if you watch our box down there, when I push this minus and plus, see, it brings it in and out.
Oh, okay.
So you want to make sure you're in the picture for them, and that's that button right there.
Okay.
If you have any connectivity issues, we ask that you call Network Maine. Do you have a cell phone?
I do.
Great. Network Maine's number is on the first page of this, and I keep this on the back of the Tandberg. So their number is right here.
Okay.
And if they can't connect you, call us. This is our number. We're there till 9 o'clock at night. So don't hesitate to call us. If you have called them and it didn't work, give us a call. We'll come over and get you set up.
Okay.
All right. That's my spiel.
Thank you.
All right.
Cindy, can you see where it says my welcome medical office specialist?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure you can see the slideshow. How was your trip? How was your ride in? Is it raining up there?
Yeah, it's raining. Yeah.
Same here.
Not too hard though.
Oh, it's pouring here. Just gonna wait a couple of minutes because we should have one other person joining us, but I'm not sure because of the weather. They're a little further north of us. They're in Presque Isle.
Ooh, yeah, that's more.
Yeah, that's a little.
Now, at any time I can do these at home on my computer, right?
That would be a question for Academy of Medical Professions.
Okay.
And your instructor might know the answer to that.
Okay.
Actually, yes, Cindy, they don't get uploaded until the next day after the live, but if you miss, if you should happen to miss a class, you can always see the presentation the next day.
Okay, great.
Linda,
Okay.
is
Yeah.
she able to log in from home during class time so she can interact? They used to be able to do that, but not anymore.
I am not sure about that. I
Okay.
don't think so, but I can double check and I can email you that answer.
I think they used to do it through a program called Jabber, but I think that Jabber is no longer available.
Yeah, I don't think so. As far as
Yeah.
I know, the live is just the live in the remote
Yeah.
locations.
Yeah, so you really want to do that if you can, so that you can interact with your
All
instructor.
right.
That's my
Otherwise, I have to call
recommendation.
for questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. All right, have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm yelling.
Can you hear me okay, Cindy?
Perfect.
Okay. Because I feel like I'm screaming at Kim here.
It's all good. Worst comes to worst, I'll take out my hearing aids. It'll be fine.
All right. Are you from Brunswick, Thompson?
I am.
Cindy?
Over in Brunswick by Thomas Point Beach.
I've never been to Brunswick.
Where are you at again?
I'm from Bridgeton, but we're in Wyndham right now.
Oh, okay.
Just. Right. So let's get started, and I always can kind of bring Tasha up on cue if she joins in. Are you ready, Miss Cindy?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So my name is Linda Zimnicki, as it says right there. This is my first class that I just started with Academy of Medical Professionals. So we'll be learning together. And either one of you do medical terminology. Cindy, do you do another class?
I do the terminology on Tuesday night.
You do, okay.
I just
So you
started.
both been on Evolve already?
Yep.
Okay. Have you
Yes.
been on Evolved already? Okay, so you don't have any questions or anything? We're good on that?
No.
Okay. And you got
I
our
may later. I may when I
That's
start
okay.
really getting into it.
That's okay. Later's okay. That's all right. And we got the syllabus for our class. This is week 1.
Yeah, I didn't get the
I'll know
syllabus.
that.
Yeah.
You didn't? Okay,
Didn't.
I'll see.
It's this one, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. All right, so Cindy, I'll make sure you get emailed the syllabus tomorrow.
Okay.
And there is no course orientation under there, is there?
There is an old one from Doreen, a course orientation on Evolve. If you
Okay.
go under the lecture, the first one, and pretty much all it does is tell you kind of how to use Evolve and
Okay.
how to get it. So
Because I logged on and I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And she was like, I called Jamie and Jamie's like, don't worry about it.
yeah, Kim had asked if there was an orientation. There is an old one from Doreen who used to teach this class. If you want to watch it, it kind of really just kind of goes into Evolve and what's expected and, you know, any other questions that you may have about that. So you may find that helpful if you want to look at that lecture. But if you go on your student resources, it's under lectures and it's before you begin, it says.
Oh, okay.
Okay, did you see that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Cindy, just to verify, Cindy Powers21 at Yahoo?
Yes.
Okay. And Kim, you're at perello.kim@gmail?
Mhm.
Okay, great. All right, so I'll make sure you get the syllabus. Did you get the CMAA assignment checklist?
No, I didn't get it.
Okay.
They all came, I think, together as
Okay.
one attachment.
All right. So I will make sure you get that also because you're going to need that at the end of the class period.
Oh, you mean, wait a minute. I think maybe I did get that. Let me check.
You know, here's a I have a question because it says on this thing it has the terminology exam
Yeah,
grades and the drug words. Do I just copy what I have on my, because I also
So I
have a
don't have
checklist
that,
for the
and,
terminology.
I'm gonna check into that because I was noticing that.
Okay.
Yeah, the drug words. I think, what they might have done is just taken this from terminology and
I'm
copy
assuming because
forwarded.
that's what the terminology
We don't have any
one is.
terminology exam grades.
Yeah,
Unless
this
you
is
want
the
me to.
terminology one, this terminology and drug words. So
Yeah.
I would assume just copying it over
Yep.
with this.
I can certainly make up some quizzes if you'd like.
Yeah, I got the assignment checkoff list, medical terminology.
Okay, you want to make sure you hold on to that. Because that is one of the things that you will have to hand in at the end of when you complete the course.
All right.
So here's my contact information. Best way to get a hold of me is via email. It's zimnickymouse@gmail.com. And my cell phone is 860-614-8055. You can text me or call me, either way. And I'm sure you guys have the school contact information. What I am going to do is after the presentation, when I get home, I'm going to email you this presentation packet. So you guys have it and you can kind of compare your notes. But I just wanted to go over everything first. But I will send you this. And if you want it before class, I can do that. If not, I will do it every week after we have class. Okay?
Okay.
So kind of the responsibility, making sure you check Evolve for announcements. If we have another day like we had this morning and it was worse, I will go on there as soon as I know if there's a cancellation, but I also will call you and let you know and email you just so that we know that's class was canceled, but also what we're going to do in the meantime, whether I'm just going to do a lecture and upload it, or if maybe we're going to reassign the class to another day, something of that sort, once I get with Jamie and Amy and find out what's going on. If for any reason you guys can't make class, if you could please call me, text me, email me, whichever, just so I know. There is only 3 of us in this class, so obviously if everybody's out, I'm not going to make the 50-minute drive. But I may just again to do a lecture, but just to let me know if you're not going to be able to make the class.
Okay.
Like I said before, lectures should be posted the next day or within the next couple of days, so you can review. And also, online students, if you missed a class or something, you can view the lecture online. And always do your lecture before you do anything else, tests, exams, quizzes, any of the homeworks. And try to read the chapters before you come to class. And I'd like you to email me every week just to let me know how you're doing, what exactly you're on, if maybe you jumped, you had a problem with something in the exam, or if you have some questions, or you didn't get to an exam, just kind of keep me updated on how things are going, if you wouldn't mind doing that. And then, like I said, the last thing, when we're done with everything, we will do a resume together before the end of the class, and we will send in the CMAA checklist. You mail all that to the school, and that will then be able to get your certification exam and your grade for everything, or not really grade, but just so you can get the certification exam. Okay? What I ask of you guys is, be prompt, prepared, positive attitude, and productive. Be ready to learn. Read and study and complete material on time. Always do your best. Correct your problems and learn from your mistakes, and don't give up. Here. And pretty much my pledge to you guys is I'm here for you. I will respect you and help you whatever way you can, even if it's in medical terminology and you can't get a hold of Amy or you need help or any of your other classes, feel free to ask. I will promptly correct all the work that you do, and I'm going to help you as much as I possibly can to succeed in this course. So now I just want to tell you a little bit about me. And the reason why I do this, you'll find out sooner. But I just moved from Windsor Locks, Connecticut. And I have worked for a pediatrician's office for 15 years as a administrator and billing and coding person. And I'm fortunate enough to still be able to do that up here in Maine. And I go back home once a month to do meetings and all that stuff like that. I'm married, I have 2 boys. One is 24 and one is 21. And I miss them very much. But I have a chocolate lab that kind of keeps me comfortable and keeps me occupied. And her name is Chocolate Chip Mousse, and she loves it up here as much as I do. This is like I said, my very first class, and first time I've taught with Academy of Medical Professionals, and I'm looking forward to it. So if you have any advice for me, please feel free. If you want to do something different, if you have any kind of, can we do this, can we do that, just let me know. I want it to be casual, kind of fun. Anybody have any questions? All right, then let's get started. We're going to start with Chapter 1, and as you guys know, it goes into learning styles, your study skills. Come on. Okay, here we go. Professional behavior, time management, and then problem solving, critical thinking, as well as conflict management. And so now that I've told you my life story, let's try to see if you can answer my questions that I have here. So where did I move from?
Connecticut.
Okay. You remember the town? Okay. Who do I work for?
Pediatrician's office.
Okay. How many children do I have?
2, 21, 24, and your dog's
All
name.
right, there you go. And
Something
what is
about
my dog's name?
chocolate mousse.
There you go. Right. So maybe this will help a little bit on answering any of those questions that we didn't get right. So if you want to just kind of review that. And then we can answer those questions again. So where did I move from?
Windsor Locks, Connecticut.
Locks, Connecticut.
And who do I work for? Which I don't think I said.
No, you didn't
Oh,
say
group.
Children's medical group.
And what are my kids' ages? We got that right, and you guys got the chocolate chip mousse question right. She'll be so happy to know she was part of this class.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 3 of our vocabulary words we have from chapter 1. One is perceiving, and it's how somebody looks at information and makes it real. Okay, when we look at what we had there, trying to remember what we saw, or listening to what I said before, trying to take it and make it a real thing. Processing the information is how you make it your own. How do you connect to that? What is it going to take for you to take that inside of you and remember that? And we're going to do a little bit of that later on when we get to chapter 2, because there's some real of the history and things like that, the names and what they did and things like that. So that's going to kind of help that. And then reflection is, just what it says. If you reflect on what we learned tonight, and you're going to look down and you're going to try to remember and internalize in creative ways again, of trying to remember that. So my question to you guys, are you observers or doers? Did you do better when I listed up the page, or are you better just watching somebody and you can grasp all that information? I am definitely a doer. I have to do what I'm doing. If somebody teaches me something, I want to go ahead and do that, and that's the best way for me to remember that. I had a job where they said, okay, first day, just sit back and observe. Well, I didn't learn anything that first day at all because I'm not the kind of person that, of course I observed. I learned exactly what was going on. I get this, but for me to come in the next day and do it just isn't going to happen. I'm not going to remember it. There's 4 types of learning styles, and please let me know if I'm going too fast. Okay? Because I kind of. The first is the concrete reflective style. And this person has got to have a purpose. Everything that they learn has to have a reason, a why. Okay, this is, for me to understand it, it's got to have, it has to have a personal connection with them. Just sit down. And they have to plan before taking the action. They're going to review everything and plan everything out. And they're the kind of people that watch rather than do. And they enjoy working in small groups together as a work study, more interactive. So that's your concrete reflective style. Any questions or comments on that kind of person? Next, you have your abstract reflective style. They love to learn. They learn just to learn. They take classes. There's people out there that will stay in college forever just because they love to learn. Not one of them. Their material relates to them personally. They're very organized. Their facts and their logical manner thinking. And they don't make practical connections. They're organized, logical presentations in their lectures and their readings. So they're very, as I could say about my girlfriend, very OCD, very organized, and always got to look at the facts type kind of person. And either one of you guys like that? Do either one of you relate to either one of the concrete or the abstract reflective style?
Some of the things in the abstract, but not all 5.
So we have our abstract active style. They like to experiment and test the information. They have to know how the technique works or the idea works. They practice what they learn. Their strengths are problem solving and decision making, and they're learned best hands-on. And I have to say that's probably what I am.
Yeah, that's closer to what I am.
Yeah, that is definitely me. The last one is concrete active learning. They need to know how they can use this in real life, what they learn. They relate material to themselves. They're very good at leadership and teaching. They work best in groups. Oops, that's the last one. That was the last person. So I'd like you guys to really think about this, and just during the week, just give me an idea of what you're like, because that's going to help me help you learn in all aspects and all classes that you have. So if you wouldn't mind, doesn't have to be long, just email me something that tells me what you think is your best learning style. And it can be a combination of those. Like you said, Cindy, some of the ones, maybe not all 5, but it kind of gives you an idea, and it gives me an idea how I can help you.
Is that written in the book somewhere? What you just put up on the screen?
All the abstract style, all the styles?
Yes.
Yes.
What page is that?
It's Kim's got it here. It's page 2 and 3, and they're very small in writing. It's a stage 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, it just
Again.
wasn't written. It wasn't in the
Yep.
box like you had it, right?
Yeah, no. Like I
Okay.
said, I'll email you this
Okay.
presentation too, so you can have that as reference also.
Okay.
So we're gonna do study time. Our next part of chapter 1 is studying and lectures and taking notes and organizing them and kind of knowing how to study and be prepared so you don't freak out when it's time to take your tests. Why are you laughing, Kim?
I'm laughing because it doesn't really matter how prepared I am. I still freak out a little bit before I take a test.
I hear you. Your best bet is obviously when you before you come to class, like I said, try to read the chapters beforehand, even if it's just browsing through them, but kind of get familiar what we're going to learn about, what exactly it is that I'll be talking about from week to week. Pay attention to what I'm talking about. I don't want to keep you to fall asleep. I'll try to keep things light, and don't worry about interrupting me and asking me questions. Participate, listen, and listen to what each other say, as well as myself. Organize your information, not only as you jot things down during the lecture, but afterwards, trying to keep it fresh in your mind. Whether it's this class or medical terminology, go home, take 5 minutes, and kind of browse through what you wrote down and see if you can organize it. And as you're doing that, it's fresh in your head, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, so I wrote 3 words, instead of waiting 3 or 4 days and going, what does that mean? Because you only wrote down 2 or 3 things, and you're like, okay, what did this mean? But trying to do that right after class or when you get home, even the next morning if you have time, that would be great. Use diagrams to help with your information. There's a couple of different types of diagrams. This is a spider map, and I kind of can tell why it's called a spider map. You have your main thing, so if it would be your CMAA, and then off the center body, where it says topic concepts, you have all the legs, and those legs are different main ideas. So chapter 1 would be studying. Chapter 2 is you have history, and then each detail from each different main idea. So that's kind of how that map looks. Can help when you're organizing it into the map, but then when you're trying to study it and review your information, it can help you with what goes with each idea. Any questions on that? The next one is your fishbone. Mostly for diseases and causes, one of the kind of things you can use for this. What is the main disease would be where it says result, what causes it, and then which detail of the causing of, exactly what causes it. So you have, every little detail, then, the cause, and then that cause relates to the result. The next kind of map would be your chain and events map, and it's exactly that. If you have something for history, what first happened, then what happened, and then what the final event was. again, cause and effect could be very well, how it caused, what was the cause of it, and then what was the final outcome of that. Another way of organizing your notes. Then there's a cycle map. Your cycle map is kind of what I would say is your circle of life. Something starts at number 1 and then goes, that affects number 2, which affects number 3, which affects number 4, and then it starts all over again. So that would be something of your cycle maps. So those are just some ways of organizing your thoughts and your notes to help you study and prepare, so that when you go back to get ready to take your tests, it's in a little organized fashion. When you start studying for your exams, skim your pages, go through them, and pick out the important stuff. Don't worry about the little things. Vocabulary, as you look through the book, the vocabulary is all highlighted in bold. So you're going to say, okay, so that's a vocab word. So I see it, I'm using it in a sentence. Let's go back to see what it means and go back to then again the page where you saw it from. That's a great way of associating your words with the vocabulary, but also associating them with what's going on in the course or the chapter. Get the big picture. What is your main idea? What are you getting out of that chapter? What is the main purpose of that chapter? And then trying to organize everything so that it brings yourself up to that main idea. Organizing information in groups. Each chapter has different groups. This chapter is, your study skills. So you would take all your notes from your studying and, all the skills, or, or test taking, or anything like that. But getting yourself in different groups so that when you start studying, you're studying just the study skills, or you're studying just the history. So that way you're doing them in groups and not trying to take everything in at once. So if, Monday you study one section or one group, and then maybe Tuesday you study another. And that way you're not overloading your brain, trying to remember it all at once. And create associations. Try to help yourself remember things. I am really good at that. I make silly kind of things in my head, so that way when I'm taking a test, I'm laughing to myself and wondering what's going on. All right, so now we've talked about it. So Kim said freaks out test taking. Do you, Cindy?
What's that?
Do you freak out when you're taking a test?
Only if I don't feel prepared.
There you go. All right, so that's all about, really, is the number one thing. Know your material. Be prepared. When you go into the exam, this happened to me when I was taking my CPC exam. They said to you, one of the things is we were looking over everything, it said, try to pick out the ones you know and get those done quick, because you only have 1 minute and 30 seconds for each question. So get the ones that you know over and done with first. So I said, well, that makes sense, right? Sure. So I sat down, and it's multiple choice, and I sit down, and I started doing that. Well, then I couldn't figure out which ones I answered and which ones I didn't. So I started freaking out. Then I looked down at my test page and realized instead of the answer page went from up to down instead of left to right. And I was going left to right. Oh. So I was answering all the wrong questions. So now I'm freaking out because I only have 1.5 minutes per question. I took a deep breath. I says, you got this. You know what you're doing. Start over. Luckily, I was only like 10 questions into the test. And I said, this is messing me up more than anything. So I just took a deep breath. I erased all the ones that were in the wrong spot. And I started over again. And I passed. But look for clues. Each question may have answers in other questions. And questions may the answers inside the answers. Meaning, if it's a multiple question and you look at it and you see two questions or two answers that you think you know might be right and two other ones that are definitely not that, then eliminate those two that you know are definitely not right. And then you're looking at the other two to at least you got now a 50-50 chance instead of a 1 in 4 chance. And if the biggest thing is if you look at a true and false, and it has to be 100% true for it to be true. I had this great conversation with one of my secretaries who I just did a quiz for the girls back in Connecticut because they were entering insurance cards wrong. So I made up a nice quiz for them. And I did a trick question for our Medicaid because back in Connecticut there's certain levels of Medicaid. One of the level has a copay. Well, someone in the office is not collecting copay for this other question. So the question was, if someone comes in with Medicaid, I don't have to worry about collecting copay. Well, that's wrong because one part of the Medicaid does have a copay. She sat there for 10 minutes arguing with me. Well, that's not right. And I'm like, no, you don't. And she's like, well, that's not what you said. You said Medicaid. And I said, but how many parts of Medicaid are there? Well, there's two. And I'm like, right, does one have a copay? And she's like, well, yes, but that's not what you were talking about. I said, yes, it was. I was talking about them in general. So I'm like, we went on for 15. I could not convince this girl that the answer was false because she had it in her head. So really, look at the question when it's true and false. If it's not 100% true, then it's got to be false. And then also look at other questions because that could have answers for the question you're working on. So really, those are some of the big test taking. Just remember to relax and take that deep breath and get those negative thoughts out of your head. So I have to take a drink of water. Do either one of you have a thought or comments or any questions about what we just went over?
I think it was pretty helpful.
Okay. So we're going to get into kind of the dealing of day-to-day in the medical office part of things that also associate with life in general, I guess you could say. The first thing would be professional behavior. So Cindy, you're a manager in a front office or front desk position is available and you're going to start interviewing. What kind of person do you want to hire? What do you look for in a person that you would hire?
Well, someone that's very personable.
Okay. Kim?
Very professional. Not flighty.
Would that mean dependable? Because if they're flighty, they're not going to be dependable. How do you want them to treat your patients?
With respect
There you go.
and kindness and courtesy.
Very good. What else do we have here? So we've got dependability, respected patient care, empathy, initiative, and a positive team player. And that is all signs of professional behavior. I was trying to get the girls on video back home to send you, to put up here on the thing. And as I come around the corner to ask them, I have one girl that's sitting like this. and another girl's stuffing her face at the front desk. And I went, hold on a second, I'm going to get my cell phone. But the video didn't come out. You really want to present yourself to people that you work for, but also to the patients that walk through the door. You know, that is really all part of professional behavior. I don't think either one of you probably seem to have the fact that I think you would be unprofessional when you walk through the door. But that's something you want to portray to the person that's interviewing you. So let's talk about the medical receptionist and person at that works in the medical field, whether it's a clinical or at the front desk. This is pretty much what day looks like. Your phone's ringing, you have people at the front desk wanting to check in, check out. You have the doctors asking you for questions, and you're like, okay, I've had it. But you know what? It's manageable. One of the girls always asks me at work, you know, we have such a long list of things to do. What's so important about getting which done? How am I supposed to know what to do first? I can't do it all. Well, you just kind of have to prioritize things. Identify what your main concern is. What's the most important thing to you at that time and place? It may not be something that's every day you can say that, you know, this is the same priority as it was yesterday. It's that day and that time. You could have, you know, charts that need to be pulled or prepared for the next day or that afternoon. If you don't have the ones for the afternoon, obviously the ones for the next day can wait because you have the next day. But kind of in your own mind, prioritize what you need to do. And determine what your purpose is. What are you trying to accomplish? What needs to get done? It kind of same as, you know, the same thing as prioritizing yourself, but don't freak out about it because it's going to get done. You may have to ask for help, you may not, but it will get done. And what doesn't get done, by the time you get done to your bottom of your list, may not be as important because you've already done the important things on the beginning. Get yourself organized. You see your desk that looks like what I have right now. I don't know if you can see this, but all my stuff is spread out all over the place. But organize yourself. Put them in piles and say, okay, this needs to be done first, this needs to be done. But the worst thing in the world to do is procrastinate. Don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. That's that famous saying. You don't procrastinate. Once you start, even if you're just totally out of control, and you don't know what, just pick up a piece of paper and start doing it. Because that's one less thing you have to do. But really, time management is something that is extremely important in our business. Whether it's knowing to take the patient back, you know, knowing to tell the doctor something, whether to get this claim taken care of, or whether to, you know, call the insurance on this. You know, maybe I don't have to call the insurance today because I have 30 days to do that. You know, but really try to figure out what is the best. And remember when you're overwhelmed, take a break and walk away, take that breath, do something for yourself, take a snack, whatever. But sometimes when you're so overwhelmed with things that you forget to do something for yourself, that everything slacks, that you're not giving yourself 100% on each item, and something's going to slack. So you got to take care of yourself too. Any questions on time management?
Do you have a specific like way that you organized your day as far as, like, because you said there's so many different chunks of things that you were doing in your office?
I do, and it depends. when I was working in Connecticut, my biggest thing was I was the front desk manager as well as the billing manager. I worked the desk 2 days a week, and then if somebody called out sick, I got pulled off my billing. So I would get behind, and I really would, my first thing is I would go through all my papers. I have a basket that everybody throws everything in, so I have that basket. I would go through everything and kind of make piles. And I, like I said, I pick up a piece of paper and say, okay, I got this one done. Sometimes to me, the easy ones are the best ones to do first because they're easy. They're over, they're done with, and I get them out of the way. Then, I may look at what's left and say, all right, this claim needs to be called. Or, no, that can wait. I need to enter the charges first. So the more day-to-day that you do of your job, the more you're going to know. And I always make a list before I leave the night before of what I want to get done or what I didn't get done today. So I always do that so that when I walk into my office, even here I have an office, and I look down and I say, oh yeah, okay. Always take notes, always leave yourself notes, messages. Don't rely on your brain. Don't ever rely on your brain because it's too compact between work and home and life. It just doesn't work. So sticky pads are a great thing. How you doing out there, Cindy? Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I want to do a little role play. Kim, since you're here and Cindy did the last one.
Okay.
So I'm going to be a patient. Our doctor is running 20 minutes behind. The other patient that they're going to see is going to be here in 10 minutes, and the patient is late.
Okay, wait a minute. Doctor is behind 20 minutes.
Yep.
And you're the patient that's coming in 10 minutes late?
No, I'm the late patient. It's 5 minutes.
They're going to rise more than 5 minutes
yeah.
past the scheduled time. They cannot be seen. Tell the late patient they can't be seen. They're upset and insist on being seen. The doctor has no open appointments. Okay.
Okay.
Think so.
So, doctor's already running 20 minutes behind. I'm 10 minutes late.
You come in to check in.
I'm going to check in. Hi. I'm so sorry I'm late. I really am, but the traffic was horrible.
Okay.
So I'm here to see Dr. Weinerman. Is that okay? Great.
I'm sorry. He's having a very busy day, and he's actually running 20 minutes behind himself. And our policy is normally, if you're more than 5 minutes late past your scheduled time, we have to reschedule you.
But I took the day off from work. I have to be seen.
And I completely understand that. If you want to wait just 1 minute, and I can see if there is a way that the doctor can squeeze you in, I'll talk to his assistant, and then I'll let you know. If not, then I can do my best to try to work something out within your schedule.
I really need to be seen.
And I completely understand that.
No, you don't understand that.
I do, because I'm always running behind myself.
That was great. I kind of, we have that happen all the time, ever.
Yeah.
All the time. I had a lady that literally told me flat out the doctor was going to see it. And she was 30 minutes. She passed her appointment. The doctor had no other appointments. I had to get my office manager on the phone. She did not want to talk to me, even though I was front desk manager. It was a girl I was training's first day. Excuse me, the poor girl. It was hysterical, kind of funny, but ended up the biggest thing when you're confronted and you really do have those kind of issues is you're kind of looking at a problem solving, and when you have a problem or a situation, you really want to understand what the problem is. This woman is late. She doesn't care if the doctor's running behind. She's waited for the doctor 20 million times before. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to see her. This is what she's saying to you. You know, you get it. You understand what her problem is, but you really have to understand and find out, you know, why was she late? Maybe there was a car accident. She could have called, she didn't, but, you know, go back, like you said, you're going to go back to assistant. See if there's an open spot. Maybe she can wait a half hour, 45 minutes. Maybe she can go and come back. But try to look at everything. Brainstorm, whether it's with you, with the assistant, somebody, but brainstorm on your ideas. And analyze what will happen if you make this decision. If you decide to see that patient, what is exactly going to be the worst thing that's going to happen? He's already 20 minutes behind, so he's going to be backed up another 10 minutes. But after you really look at all the information, you make a decision, look at what your consequences are going to be. So that's your biggest way of dealing with a problem or a situation. And it goes kind of hand in hand with critical thinking also. And if you look at it, same kind of thing. Sort and conflict your information. You know, what's really important, what's really not. What really is this lady trying to tell you? You know, she's stuck in traffic, she missed work, or she took off work. Well, we get that, we understand, you know, we know that the doctors, but are any of those really important to what the problem is? And weigh the knowledge, your knowledge of the information, whether it's a problem or knowledge of a claim that you're trying to argue with the insurance. If you know you're right, don't give up. Don't ever make them think you're wrong, especially if you know 100% that you're right. And ignore your personal biases. If it's a patient that you don't like or a mother that you don't like, don't let that influence your decision making. Really easy to do, but you really got to take that one. And decide on reasonable beliefs. Again, go back to the fact of, okay, so, you know, the doctor's 20 minutes behind, you know, that's pretty reasonable that if this person's only 10 minutes late, he's really wasn't going to get into his appointment any sooner than if she was here on time. So kind of, when you're critical thinking, trying to solve a problem or a conflict, look at all of those. But one thing for sure is be confident about your decision and and back it up and learn from your mistakes. Meaning, again, when you pose yourself to that person, be confident, don't back down. Back it up with facts in why you decided this or the reason behind things. And if you make the wrong decision, if 2 days later your office manager comes to you and yells at you or says, hey, you know, we could have done things this way, listen to what she's trying to tell you. Because not every question or not every answer is going to be right, and every solution is going to be right. But if you learn from your mistakes, next time that comes around, you'll have that mistake to remember, and this time you will make the right decision. And not every problem is always the same. Every situation is always different. Any questions on problem solving or conflict, critical thinking on like how to use it in real life?
Well, one of the things that I've noticed just in general, like in a general customer service realm, is that, you know, if you're at the front desk or whatever and you have a very combative customer that, you know, they want it this way, this is the way it is, and you explain to them very nicely, you you know what the policy is, this is it, and they talk to your manager, and then your manager comes up and completely contradicts. So how you can't really be confident in a decision. Do you know what I mean? Like you're confident, and then you have, you have to do customer service. They want to talk to someone above you. You do that, and then they have to smooth it all over and completely throw out all of that. So the next time you would have to deal with that same person.
Right.
If they do it again, you can't really be confident about the decision you're making because you knew you were right, but you know that they're going to go over your head anyway.
So if in certain situations, when that's happened, and they ask you for the manager, do you discuss it with the manager prior to them coming out?
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because you want to let the manager want all the same thing. What the problem is, what's the facts. They have to go through that same critical thinking. And it's a good thing for you to say, this was what I was thinking. Now, she may come out and say, you know what, that's great, but I think we're probably going to deal with it in a different way. And in that case, that's her way of going through those same critical thinking. She's not trying to make you not confident about your decision,
Right.
but she's looking at it from a different point of view.
Right.
And when you're looking at it from the front desk part of things, and then a management side of things, you're going to be looking at it from two different situations or two different points of views. But it's never, don't ever be afraid or worried about what your manager's going to do, but go to explain to your manager what you did first.
Okay.
And then that way when you're presenting yourself to the patient is when you want to be confident. And if your manager does come back, she's got that information in front of you, and she should say, Kim probably told you this. Kim did the best that she could in her position. I understand you want to speak to me. So it's not putting you down or making you look like you're wrong, but she's saying, okay, so now you want to talk to a manager. When somebody wants to talk to a manager, it's because they know they're going to get away from it.
Right.
Pretty much. But that kind of goes with what we're talking about now with the conflict management and then the behaviors. If you are talking to somebody in a non-assertive way, keeping your eyes down, shifting your weight, slumping over, whining or hesitant or ambiguous language. So you're talking to them. Well, let me see whether or not I can see you. I'm really not sure if we can. I'm going to go back and talk to his assistant. I don't know. I'm going to try. He is running behind. So kind of hold on. Or if you say to yourself where, obviously aggressive is a little bit different, but you want to say, you want to be confident about yourself. Mrs. Smith, Dr. Weinerman's running 20 minutes behind, and I understand your situation. I'm going to check for you and see whether or not we can. I'm going to go talk to his assistant, and we're going to work this out the best that we can.
Okay.
There's a difference there.
Right.
So that if you come out, now your manager comes out, and she's going to back you up by saying, hey, listen, Kim did the best that she could. I understand where you're coming from. I'm going to talk to the doctor and see if you see it. Or, yes, we will see you. It may be our fault. But do you see the difference in the way you're talking and trying to understand and portraying yourself to the patient?
So just portraying yourself in a positive and confident way.
Exactly.
With whatever you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And do you understand that, Cindy? Do you understand? Can you kind of hear what we were talking about, what Kim was asking?
Yes.
All right. And that the whole, on the whole non-assertive behavior, Dr. Weinerman, I'll use him as my excuse, is the most popular doctor in our practice. You literally have to call 6 months in advance to get an appointment for him. And he has every complicated person in the world. Every child he has is complicated. So they all have to come back in 2 months. And he'll tell you, every single patient he sees on a Wednesday, come back 2 months. Come back 2 months. Well, we have 2 offices, and he's in each office 3 or 2 days. So he only has a certain amount of appointments. I had one girl who does not like conflict whatsoever at all. So the mother would be like, well, Dr. Weinerman told me that I need to come back in 2 months. Well, the 6 people before that just took his last 6 appointments for the month of May, you know. And she would be like, well, I can talk to Dr. Weinerman and see if he can squeeze you in. And then he would get overbooked and stressed out and freak out on the day. So I said, Stephanie, listen, you have to push back on the parent. You can't look at them. They look at them. If you don't look at them and you're looking at your computer, they think you're searching for an appointment. They know that there's an appointment there that you want to give them. That's what they're thinking to themselves. Look at them and say, I'm sorry, Dr. Weinerman doesn't have anything. I can check with him, but most likely I've just given all his appointments away. I can call you back and let you know. But this is what I have 3 months in advance, and we'll see if it works out. And then you go ask Dr. Weinerman and you yell at him and you say, hey, listen, Harry, you just told 7 people and you only had 6 appointments. I put him in for April. Is that okay? Yeah, that's fine. Because he doesn't realize what he's doing. But the way you present yourself in front of somebody really makes a difference. If you're confident and you know what you're talking about, you're honest with yourself and honest, but you speak clearly and really present that, hey, I'm doing the best that I can for you, but I can't really tell you what's going on. But really remember that non-assertive. Conflict management is great for when you're having a problem with somebody. I have 2 girls at work right now. One's an aggressive behavior. Literally be like, Ashley, you need to do this today. Why aren't you? And Ashley's just like her going, Barbara, you don't do anything. And this is happening. They are my best friends, so I can talk about them now. Well, you do it or else. That's your aggressive behavior on both of them. And then you have Stephanie, who I was talking about before, who looks down and says, okay, I'll do it. No, Stephanie ends up doing everything. When you have a conflict like that with your coworker, don't let that happen. Really sit down with them, kind of talk to them. Be honest. That's what I told Barbara. Barbara and Ashley both are coming at me going, well, I sat them down. I says, okay, talk to each other. Talk to each other. In a very non-aggressive way.
In a respectful way.
And be honest with each other. Tell that person exactly how you feel. Don't hold it back, because you have an issue with that person, and the only way for it to be resolved is if you talk to them and tell them. Speak clearly and specific. There's nothing worse than somebody saying to you, you make me do everything all the time. Well, what are you talking about? When? Well, all the time. Well, that person is not going to understand what you're talking about. Last Friday, you made me do X, Y, and Z, and you did A. Oh, you're right. And then they could come back to you and say, well, Thursday before, you made me do this. And then you find out that really, you guys are both doing the same amount of work. It's just a matter of the day. But really, best way to resolve a problem is to make sure you have something to back it up. Make sure you have specific examples, or going back to the late patient, you could say, okay, I can see you at 2 o'clock. He has an opening then, and it may be 1. But have examples, be specific, have something to back what you're trying to tell that person so they understand and they can see it. And, use I. You know, I really hate when you talk to me that way. I don't like it when you point your finger at me. Right? Yeah. I don't like your aggressive behavior. And assertive body language. Always look at somebody, and it's amazing what looking at someone face to face. If you start looking across this way or that way, even if it's a person checking in, that's the first thing my boss always says. You look at them face to face and say, "Hi, how are you today? Welcome to Children's Medical Group." But again, that says a lot, and it's the body language says a lot. You know, if I'm sitting here going, "So Kim, what do you want to learn today?" You know, just
I don't want to learn anything from you like that.
well, you're gonna. I told you. Don't do it in open space. Resolve it in somewhere private. You were talking about the patient before at the desk. Make it a big, huge thing and wanting to talk to the manager. If you'll notice, that manager most likely will take them away from the front desk and talk to them somewhere in a room, somewhere private. You really, especially at the front desk in front of everybody that's sitting in the waiting room, you want to fuse it. Be open and honest, and then follow up. You okay over there?
They're doing something out in the hallway.
The roof collapsing, Cindy?
They're doing construction out there or something.
Uh-oh.
Nice.
We start seeing things falling in. We'll come rescue them. Follow up on what happened. You know, the late patient, if they were seen, that manager may call them up the next day. Everything okay? Go with your visit? You know, is everything all right? That's good common customer service. Follow up on your conflict with your partner that you just screamed and yelled at. You know, Kim, we doing okay? We got it now? We're all right? Everything's okay? We're cool? We can work together? That kind of stuff. Okay. Any questions on conflict management? Any questions about Chapter 1 at all?
Not yet.
Not yet. Make common sense. Really is a lot of common sense. And a lot of little ins and outs of stuff. A lot of good little behind the scenes things that you can kind of do. Does anybody want to take a break? Anybody have to go to the bathroom?
I don't.
No, you're good, Cindy?
I don't.
You're
Yeah.
good?
Just while you're talking, I can stand and stretch because we've been sitting for an hour. So all I'm doing.
Anything different you wanted from the first half of the presentation?
I like the role play.
Okay.
I like the role play. I like. I'm noticing that because I like to observe. I like to see how things work, but then I like to be after I see it and understand it. I like to be able to do it. So I'm kind of both a visual and kinetic learner.
Okay.
In that way, they kind of go hand in hand. So.
I like doing that too, and it being my first class, I didn't know exactly how it was all going to work out, so we can definitely do that.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
This course, can this type of what we're going to learn in this class be for medical back office as well as the front office, or is there another place, a person that learns these, you know, what we're going to be learning, all these skills, to be placed somewhere? Go ahead.
When you say back office, Cindy, do you mean clinical side of it?
Yeah, I mean, not actually where you're receiving patients in front desk, that type. Somewhere else, is there another, you know, I don't know how to word it.
The business aspect of it?
Yeah.
Where you're not in patient relations as much? Yes, we're going to go into a little bit of that also. There's also some, you know, electronic records. I think as a whole, you said you're taking the medical terminology. Are you taking other classes too?
Not right now. not at this time. I'm going to do these two, and then I'll take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might want to look into the coding aspect if you like the billing part, and we'll go into a little bit of that.
Well, I know I have this little pamphlet they gave me, but I don't know if that was just something we're going to touch base on, the diagnostic coding or whatever.
Yeah, that came in with the book.
Yeah.
But we'll get into like the administrative side, banking and laws and different aspects of that. So you're going to look at both the front part as well as the back part of it, but that's still going to be in the medical industry. Will still be interacting with not only patients but also with your coworkers and insurances. So you will have a lot of people contact, but there's also like the part I like right now, what I'm doing. I'm sitting in an office and I do a lot of the billing part of it, which I've done the front desk aspect of it for 15 years, and I kind of got tired of it. Although I do miss some of the kids that come in and babies and things like that. So I think it's a well-rounded course to kind of give you an example of what's gonna, what you can walk into.
Right.
What do you do now?
Well, right this minute, I just I work at the Goodwill in my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Just a sales associate. I've done a lot of other stuff. I did real estate for a while, and then I worked for Independence Association, working with people with disabilities, and I've worked in the courthouse back when I was in California for 5 years. So just I've kind of done a little bit of a lot of things. I used to do microelectronics at TRW in California, inspecting microelectronics, stuff like that. So I've kind of just done a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But I was thinking I really would have, if I get into this, when I get into this, I kind of didn't want to be a front desk receiving people. I don't know, I wanted to do more of a back office because I've done a lot of customer service, and I've kind of, I like to, I don't care how much work I get, just tell me what I need to do and it'll get done by the end of the day.
Yep.
That type of person. I don't need a lot of somebody looking over me or, but I mean, I get along well with others too. I play well.
Yeah. No, I know a lot I know exactly what you're talking about. And there's a lot of different opportunities for working like that in the medical industry, where it's not just about the front desk aspect of it. The customer service part of it. There's billing, there's coding, there's medical records, there's hospitals. There is a lot of different places to go, and I came from the restaurant business, so I feel your pain. Like I said, I've been doing customer service forever. Not that I don't love it. I do. I've seen it changed a lot over the years, where that philosophy of the customer is always right. I think the customer expects to be right now. And very much, and when I was growing up, it was always the doctor was right, and you listen to what the doctor says. And now it's, what did the doctor do that for? Or if I knew that wasn't going to get covered, I wouldn't get it done. And I think to myself, really, you wouldn't do that for your child? But there is a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I'm not going to say you're not going to have any kind of customer contact.
Well, yeah.
But there is a lot where you can sit in the office and get things done.
Okay.
And do exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Here's a pile of stuff.
The larger the practice is, where you have multiple doctors, and then you have people that are greeting them, but then there are also, because whenever I go into a large doctor's office, there's the people that are right in front that I'm dealing with, checking in and checking out. But then there's a whole mess of other people, and I don't know what they do.
Probably answer
They
the
can't
phone.
all be managers, so.
Yeah. You'd be surprised how crazy it can get in the doctor's office. But, and again, it depends on the doctor's office. If you have a single doctor's office, it may not be as busy as you would if you have, we have 9 providers in our office. And it can be nuts. And then there's days we all sit around and laugh and joke, too. But like I said, now, Cindy, I work from home. I still work for the same doctors I do in Connecticut, mostly because they're wonderful people. And I sit up in my house and do all the charge entry for the doctors, do all the billing as far as correcting claims. And they sent me to get my billing and my coding certificate, so I did that. And hopefully one of these days I will start coding for them. I do a lot of their review of their charts and stuff. So yeah, there is, if you're done with the customer aspect of it, there certainly is places for you to sit in an office and stare at a computer and do data entry and do work. And even, small claims stuff as far as, a little bit of customer service. But, yeah.
Okay, that makes me happy.
Yeah, no, it's a great field, and I can't, like I said, excuse me as I trip over the chair, came from the restaurant business, and my son played hockey, and getting up at 6 in the morning and go to bed at 3 at night, because I worked at night, just wasn't cutting it. And I stumbled on the medical field. My first job in the medical field was doing the scheduling for nurses at a nursing home. And there was no customer contact with that. It was literally a full-time position. But all the CNAs and all the
I did that too when I was younger, in my
yep.
teens and in my early teens. I did that.
Another thing too is we have an office coordinator who does all the scheduling for the doctors as far as doing the templates, putting them into the system. She doesn't make the appointments, but she'll supervising, making sure that they don't get overbooked. And she sets up different templates. So, you have sick visits here and physicals, so making sure that the office runs smoothly. That would be a great job. Another sit in the office and, kind of like an administrative assistant to the office manager.
So when it gets time to do our resumes and we put our, what we're looking for, what we're trying to get a job at, that's something you'll help us with as far as what's out there we could apply for, that type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to do a resume together, and pull all your experiences and pull different things out of your experiences and highlight them to make it more attractive for the medical field and what you're looking for.
Okay.
We'll get that. That'll be towards the end of the course.
I like when I was in California. I've been here 8 years, but I was a facilities coordinator before I came out here for the YWCA for a domestic violence shelter, where we housed 36 up to 36 people, including the moms and the children, and so there's a lot of interaction, but it's not where you're sitting here and you're having interaction. You're actually interacting, doing stuff with people. But just sitting at that spot, receiving people, I feel like I'm in a fishbowl. I'm more of a, I was doing hands-on, doing different things, but I'm not stuck right there at that spot.
Yeah.
Taking calls and someone coming up and that's it. That wouldn't be my ultimate, job that I would want to try to go get. If it's a foot in the door, maybe, but you know what I mean?
Yep. Well, I started out as a receptionist, and I do more things now than I probably care to. But don't tell my boss that, please. What do you do, Kim?
Right now, I'm
Going to school?
unemployed, so school, and my last job was administrative. It was a sales and marketing coordinator for an integration firm. So I was doing lead generation and scheduling for my supervisors, and it was an evolving job because it was a growing company.
Yeah.
They weren't quite sure what to do with me, and it was crazy. And I've done I've done retail and customer service. I'm doing some hours at Market Basket so that I have some money to be able to pay for my class and whatnot. So.
And you're going for your CPC exam?
Actually, yeah,
That's
I'm
it.
going all the way
way.
through, yeah.
All right, well, let's go on to chapter 2 if you guys want to.
Okay.
Chapter 2 is a great place to use some of our study skills. It goes into a lot of the history of the medical field and the different types of places of medical locations and types of doctors. So there's a lot to remember and learn. So I'm kind of want to play with you guys on how we want to do this, because as we get into it, it's going to be, oh, he did this, he did that, and he did this, and he did that, and it's kind of, to me, it's kind of boring. And like I said, I don't want these classes to be boring. So the first thing is the history of medicine. As you guys probably have learned in your medical terminology class, the Greek and Romans have a lot of influence on that. And you will use that a lot. I really liked medical terminology. It kind of is kind of cool to figure out what all these words mean that your doctor's talking about for all these years. And then, so as we talk about the Greeks, you have Asclepius, who is the son of Apollo and is known as the god of medicine. And so for that reason, the AMA, the American Medical Association, uses the staff of Asclepius, I can't say that word, as the symbol for medicine. And that is the little snake wrapped around. And then the catechus is the U.S. Army Medical Corps. So it looks very similar, but you have the Medical Corps has wings on it, and it's not a snake. Well, there's two snakes instead of one. So those are two things you'll definitely need to know. And Hippocrates is known as the father of medicine. One of the biggest things he's known for is the Hippocratic Oath. And he believed that instead of the witching of medicine, that the body could actually heal itself. And it wasn't something that the gods were doing. It was actually the body. And these two are the two biggies of medicine. So Galen is the prince of physicians. He's written over 500 treatises. One of the biggest things is he feels that physicians need to despise money
and that they shouldn't go into medicine for a profit. You should go in for caring and healing. Yeah, imagine that, huh?
He had something right, but it's not happening.
Well, you know, I have to say that the doctors that I work for are definitely like that. And that's why they don't like me, because of the fact I tell them, no, you need to code higher, charge this person more, because it should have been coded more than what you charge them. Oh, but so-and-so's got this and that. I said, I don't care. So I'm the one that is the one that likes money. And they're like, no, don't worry about it. Medical education, your biggest person for medical education is Johns Hopkins University. They are the first person that actually had a school of medicine, and it was partnered with the actual hospital. And before that, they would just have groups of men getting together and discussing mutual interests in the 17th century. But when they didn't have a way to communicate, there really was no way of passing on different knowledges of medicine. So here comes all our fun little early pioneers. So I thought it would be kind of cool if we went through all these 20 million pages that I wrote of everybody, kind of figure how we would remember these names and do that word association or making it feel your own. However you want to think you could remember somebody. And I'm going to probably butcher all these names. Me with the last name Zivnicki, but that is my married name. My favorite one is Gabriel Fallopius, and he named, that's the number one, he named a lot of the parts of the anatomy, and he named the fallopian tubes after himself. Why a guy would do that, I don't know, but hey. So that would be something fun to remember his name or get that in your head. You know, that Fallopius named the body parts and that the fallopian tubes are named after him. The first one, I can't think of one. You have any ideas? Vesalius, father of modern anatomy. He actually is the structure of the human body. And then we have William Harvey, which discovered the heart was a pump. I thought maybe if you thought of Harvey and heart, that would go kind of hand in hand with each other. Our next guy discovered microorganisms, and his last name looks like a microorganism to me, and that is Leeuwenhoek. You think I could pronounce that? And then we have the pioneered the microscope was Marcella. So as you know, like Cindy, we're getting into all this stuff, and yes, this is kind of just, you really need to know somewhat of the history as a, when you're in the medical field, just because you will come across a lot of this stuff, believe it or not, as you are working in hand with the doctors. But we have John Hunter, who was the first scientific surgeon, Edward Jenner, smallpox vaccine, Onbrugger, the percussion in diagnosis, which, if you guys know, is kind of like tapping like a drum. That's how I always remember the percussion. And then Lanak discovered the stethoscope. Semmelweis, savior of mother, he's known of, and insisted on hand washing. My favorite is Louis Pasteur, developed pasteurization, which helps keep my wine fresh. Lister is the sterile surgeon, and he developed antiseptic methods. Robert Koch is introduced the culture plate, a lot of lab tools. Urolic, chemotherapy, immunotherapy, bacteriology. Mr. Long, anesthetics. Used ether for anesthetics. Mr. Rotentunger did x-rays. I'm, like I said, not doing great with these names. And then Pierre Curie discovered radium. Do we all know who Florence Nightingale is?
She's a nurse.
She's a nurse. She found nursing. She founded the first school and home nurse. And Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross. Elizabeth Blackwell, first woman to receive a Doctor of Medicine. William Wald, her work led to nursing schools. And then Margaret Sanger was birth control. Those are the women. And then you have modern milestones in medicine. A lot of these are people that, you know, really have perfected things and were like yellow fever was transmitted by mosquitoes. Person that isolated insulin. Fleming discovered penicillin. The polio vaccine. Like I said, I can go through every single one of these if you would like. Forsman is a cardiac catheterization. Bernard performed the first heart transplant. Virginia Abgar was Abgar score, which is huge in pediatrics. Heimlich, we know, is the Heimlich maneuver. Alzheimer's is Alzheimer's disease. You'll see a lot of people were vain and named things after themselves. But just familiarize, I'm not going to go through the last two screens. Familiarize yourselves. It's all in the book of who did what and when and why, and what kind of influence they had on medicine. And so there's 4 organizations that you need to know about and will deal with on a daily basis, whether you're in the front or the back of the house. And we have the World Health Organization, and they are a provide global standards, developments for the entire world. They all work together with all the different countries. And then you have the Department of Health and Human Services. And these are the people that work with immunization services, financial assistance in families, children's support services, abuse prevention. I think everybody has heard of the CDC. If you watched the news, it was on today. We all heard about the mosquitoes and forgot why it was in today. There was something.
I actually have a funny story about the CDC because my husband was in the military, so I was a military wife for a lot of years. And when my first daughter was born, military uses a lot of acronyms. So I'm talking to my best friend on the phone, and my daughter has to be maybe 9 months, and it's the first time I've talked to her. We're overseas in Germany, and I'm having this long conversation with her, and I'm telling her how my daughter is at CDC during the day, and she spends 3 hours at the CDC. And I am completely in military mode. That stands for Child Development Center. My best friend, who is going to school, medical school, is going, oh my gosh, why is she talking about this so calmly? Her Child Center for Disease. She's freaking out, and it was like about 45 minutes into the conversation, finally she's like, "Are you sure Anna's all right?" And I said, "Of course she's fine. They're great."
Yeah.
She's like, "But is she sick?" And I went, "Why would she?" Oh, yeah, no, different CDC.
CDC. Yep, you'll deal with a lot with the CDC. You'll hear them often, and anytime they're on the news, you'll get a phone call constantly. But they're pretty much the clearinghouse for all the information. The statistics are kept there. Any of your billing and coding, all that stuff. Pretty much your ICD-10s pretty much is our diagnoses that classify all the diseases. And they actually keep track of that. If someone gets the chicken pox, you have to, inform your local health department, and then they go ahead and report that to the CDC. Or the influenza, God forbid, the flu's out there. You learn to love the flu vaccine time when you're at a pediatrician's office.
So the CDC gets the IDC, that information from the World Health Organization, and then they disseminate those things to us.
No, World Health gets their information from the World Health Organization.
As far
They
as
could.
the coding, that's developed from.
Yes,
Yeah.
they all work together,
Okay.
and the CDC has different departments where they all work.
Okay.
But you have your, and vice versa, your CDC will then report to World Health Organizations on what's going on in the world. And your National Institute of Health is a laboratory where it develops knowledge and better health for everyone.
I have a question. Is there any way to get around the flu vaccination? As far as, I've never had one and I never intend to get one. I've never had the flu.
Either have I.
You've neither had the flu ever? Who said that? The instructor?
I did.
Oh.
Yeah. I've never had the flu vaccine. I work in a pediatrician's office. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. My husband had it. He worked in the Department of Corrections for 20 years. The first year he worked there, they made him get a flu vaccine. He was never sicker than, he never got sick. Well, he got the flu.
Yeah.
And he vowed never to have it again. My son went to a private school right in the middle of the fear of H1N1, and they made it mandatory, so he had to have gotten one. The only time you have to get one is if you work in a certain spot that requires it.
So you're saying you work in a pediatrics office and you've never gotten one?
No, they don't require it. It's not mandatory.
Okay.
So I think it depends on where you work. If you worked in a
Oh.
hospital, they might require it.
Well, I know when I worked for an independent lady that takes care of the elderly, they required everyone to get that shot. Unless it was against your religion, you could sign a paper.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Well, even the schools in Connecticut, the daycares made it mandatory for any kid that's in a daycare or preschool to get a flu vaccine, unless it's religious.
Unless.
Yep.
Okay, so then there's the loophole.
Yep.
Okay.
It's just like that for any vaccines for the children. If
And or for us.
There are certain vaccines, that are mandatory to go to school, but as long
Right.
as you, for religious reasons or medical reasons, and of course you have to get a note and whatever.
Okay.
But yeah. So that's kind of my quick and easy version of the history. Because I really didn't want to go through every single person and what they did. And the different kinds of organizations in the health field. Now we have the type of medical facilities. Your first medical facility are hospitals. We all know that there are different types of hospitals, and they're classified according to the service that they provide. You have an acute hospital, which is exactly that, is intensive care, emergency, and trauma. It's a major hospital where they treat everybody and anybody. A subacute is maybe not as intense, but they still, if somebody that does not necessarily have a traumatic injury or needs to go to the emergency, but they may need some form of hospital care, that would be a subacute hospital. There are specialty hospitals, such as a psychiatric hospital, would be an example of a specialty hospital, or a cancer hospital. Teaching hospital, kind of like we have UConn back at in Connecticut, University of Connecticut. It's a hospital, and that's where all their med students teach and learn. They do their residencies there. That is a teaching hospital. You still go there as a patient, but the person that is your doctor there is actually a medical student or a resident. And then they have people that will oversee them. Community hospital is in more rural areas than your major cities. May not do as many procedures or have different, could have an emergency room, but they may not do surgeries there. Or they may not do intense surgeries. They may do day surgeries there. But it's a smaller form of a hospital. And then you have your regional hospital where it's a large area where you can go. I'm trying to think of, I'm not sure if Portland is one, or Mercy, where, they serve a large area than just a small town. You have a private hospital, which is run by a corporation or an organization, and they are run for profit. It's pure profit and loss, and they could be run, say, like Mercy or Maine Health. That would be a corporation, a hospital. I believe it's actually Maine Health Hospital, right? Nonprofit hospital is run by a board of directors. Doesn't mean that they necessarily don't make a profit, but they make their money through campaigning and fundraising. They do not make it through corporation, through a normal, what do I want to say, normal guidelines that you would, but they would go out and they would raise money through local maybe doctors or organizations, companies, people that will back them. Usually wealthy people back them. And they are followed very strict guidelines on how they do their profits loss. And it's usually not a high profit, but your board of directors runs them. You could have a integrated healthcare delivery system, which they have a common goal. They coordinate services throughout themselves, and they closely align themselves with an insurance product. There is one that's similar up here. I can't think of any at home. But they may have their own insurance. Or like our company just was bought out by Optum, which is owned by United. It's part of United Healthcare. But they would align themselves, and they may have their own insurance that just those people that have that insurance goes through.
Would the VA system be an integrated health delivery system?
Right. because it's the VA.
Okay.
And each hospital has different departments. You have your admissions, people check you in, make sure all the information is right. You have your ER, lab, and then you could also have a day surgery area where people just go in and leave. That's very popular these days. Not too many people stay over when they have surgeries. One of the biggest things is being accredited. Accreditation keeps not only hospitals but also doctor's office nowadays to the highest standards that they need to do to provide the best health care to all their patients. You have two different kinds of organizations. One is the NPDB, which is the National Practitioner Database, makes and keeps sure that all doctors are licensed and make sure that the doctors are credible. You can get malpractice reports from them and know whether or not the doctor has had any issues. A peer review organization is a bunch of fellow doctors that actually review and make sure that the doctor is doing the standards that are right to practice medicine. It's a bunch of peers that will sit down and review their fellow doctors for any reason they feel fit. And they guidelines are defined by the American Medical Association. So that's all your hospital aspects of it. Another part is your ambulatory care. Your ambulatory is anybody who can walk and is not bedridden. So an ambulatory care wouldn't have beds. Usually is mixed with a bunch of different doctors' offices, such as primary care or ENTs, a specialist. You can go to your primary care and say they want to send you for an x-ray, so you go across the hall for an x-ray, or you're having problems breathing, they'll refer you to their own ENTs, which is ears, nose and throat doctor, or maybe they'll have your own cardiologist right there. But they all work as a team and refer to each other. They could have occupational health, which is someone that helps you return back to work after your an injury, or a physical therapist. Then there are surgery centers, like I said before, which are day surgeries. You have rehab facilities. A lot of times now you'll see nursing homes that are both long and short term and also have rehab facilities all in one. The place that I worked at, that's exactly what it was. They had one wing that was just a rehab facility. So it's kind of strange because you have like this 30-year-old person that, got into a car accident with an 80-year-old down the street that isn't all there but is in a nursing facility. That was always hard for me to kind of connect to, because I wouldn't want to be that 30-year-old in the nursing facility. Then you have dialysis center, which is, you just go and it's set up just to give dialysis. My father-in-law was on dialysis for quite some time, and he just went to the dialysis center, never went to the hospital. So those are big. Different kinds of healthcare facilities, also hospice. And that is a place who someone who's terminally ill will go and get comfort for not only them but also their families. They offer a lot of services, but none of us ever have to go there. But labs, back in home we have Quest Labs as well as clinical lab partners. I'm not sure what you guys have in Maine. Another healthcare facility would be home health care, visiting nurses, Meals on Wheels type kind of thing associated with that. So those are all your different kinds of healthcare facilities that there are. Any questions on any of those?
No.
No, we're good on those? Different types of medical practices that there are. Not too many that you see these days, but as sole proprietorships, it's very expensive to be your own doctor with all the insurance that they have to hold. But you'll see it, usually it's just one owner, just like, you know, in the real world, the medical field. It's a sole doctor. Then you'll have a partnership. It's more than one doctor. 3 or more is considered a group practice. And then you also now have corporation. I work for a corporation. It's Pro Health Physicians. Like I said, we just did get bought out by Optum Healthcare, but we're still called Pro Health. And Pro Health has a bunch of shareholders that are all doctors. We have, I think, 378 doctors that are under Pro Health, and they're of all kind of specialists, primary care, family care, but each practice is their own, and it's only governed by the corporation. We all do our own thing. They're trying to get us more unified, but it was cheaper for the doctors to get offered better packages for their employees for insurance, better packages for their malpractice insurance. It was cheaper for them when we had to go electronic records to switch over. So there's a lot of benefits for the doctors to be part of a corporation, and you're seeing it more and more happening, that these doctors' offices are getting bought up. Maine Health is a corporation, and so I think you'll see more and more of that as the medical field changes. Different types of doctors. You have your MD doctor, which we all know. We have MD, which is a doctor of medicine. They diagnose illnesses and disease and prescribe treatment. They're allopathic. They write, and they could specialize in a field. Doctors of osteopathy have more of a holistic approach than a medical doctor. And you'll see them by having DO behind the back of their name. Then you have a chiropractor. I think everybody's kind of familiar with chiropractors, which I always thought was, they focus on the nervous system, which I have to say when I first got into the field I was surprised by that, because I always thought it was like the bones cracking, you know, you go and you get cracked by the chiropractor. But they're really talking about making adjustments so that your nervous system flows easier and it takes the pressure points away from the nervous system. So I thought that was really interesting for when I first learned that.
Makes sense.
Yeah, you know, it's not what I expected them to be. But they don't write prescriptions, a lot of them. And then you have your hospitalists. A hospitalist actually works for the hospital. Our doctors used to do doctor rounds in the hospital. If one of our patients got admitted into the hospital, they would go and they would work with them, diagnose them, do all their treatment. They no longer do that. They have a hospitalist do that. So there's a pediatric hospitalist that goes in. So if, say, my son was in the hospital, my doctor would not be the one that would treat him. It would be the hospitalist that would treat him. that's getting very popular, that private doctors don't do that anymore, mostly time and expense. Obviously DMD, Doctors of Dental Medicine, then DDS is Doctor of Dental Surgery, optometrist, a doctor of our eyes, DPM is a doctor of podiatry, feet doctor. So those are different. There is a list of all different types of doctors in your book. Kind of familiarize them. My funny story about knowing the different types of doctors is I was sitting and scanning all the doctors' reports into the person's chart when we first went electronic records. And so I kept looking at this one report, and it was an audiologist, which is an ENT. So on the top of this one ENT, it had a picture of an ears, nose, and throat. And so it finally hit me one day, because I would put it under ENT, this subline. But anytime I saw somebody else that was an ENT but didn't have that heading on it, the pictures of the ears, the eyes, and the nose, I would put it under optometry, because that was the closest thing that I associated with that word. So I looked at that and I went, oh my God. And the doctor's like, what? And I go, I just realized that this meant ENT. I've been putting it under the optometrist for I don't know how many long. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. I couldn't figure out why these people had a picture of an eye, a nose, and a throat. So if you want to work in the medical field, it really is helpful to know what kind of doctors there are out there. Because otherwise you could be really putting stuff in the wrong spot. That's my funny story. Okay. Different types of nurses that we have. Registered nurse. A lot of them have administrative capacity. They do work in a doctor's office or in a hospital, but there could be a manager of a nursing home, of all the nurses. But you'll see them more in administrative field than you will. An LPN is more of direct patient care than you would of an RN. A lot of doctors like doing registered nurses more than a licensed practice nurse, but that's coming from my RN, so I really don't know if that's how they do it. Nurse practitioners. A nurse practitioner, you'll see, is, as I say to all my patients, pretty much like a doctor, just didn't go to school as long. A nurse, it's a nurse. She became a nurse first. They have to do certain times of nursing, and then they go back to school and they become a practitioner. They can prescribe and diagnose pretty much everything. In Connecticut, they have to have a supervising doctor. I believe in Maine they do not. But my primary care physician is a nurse practitioner. I don't see anybody else. You'll get a lot of people that have this stigmatism about an APRN. I don't want a nurse to look at my child, or I don't want to talk to them. I think they listen more and pay more attention because they're so afraid of making that mistake because of that stigmatism. But you also have a practitioner's assistant also. A nurse anesthesiast is actually, my nephew went to that, and I says, why don't you become an anesthesiast instead? And he says, because I don't want to go to the schooling and I get paid more and I don't have to work as much. It's pretty much, they provide anesthesia during surgery, but they have to have a covering doctor over them. So those are different kinds. So now that I've sat here and talked all night long, I'd like to do a little Jeopardy game if you guys want to. Yay! Okay? Kind of wrap things up and see what you learn, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I have medical history, allied health, chapter 1, facilities and doctor.
You know how to play Jeopardy, Cindy?
Well, I know I watched Jeopardy. I'm not very good at it.
That's okay.
Neither am I. It's okay.
So that's all right. So why don't you pick the section and the amount that you would like to play for, and I'll give you the question.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Facilities and doctors.
For how much?
100.
Okay. What does MD is the answer? Remember, you have to answer in a question.
What does MD mean?
The answer is MD.
So what's the question?
So yes, what does MD stand for?
He's a medical doctor. It's a medical doctor.
There you go. All right, Kim.
Oh, I get to choose.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
I thought she got to choose because she
got it right. Okay, Cindy, go for another.
Okay.
The last time I played Jeopardy.
Facilities and doctors for 200.
All right. The answer is a facility for walking patients offering primary care physicians, specialists, and other services.
That would be an ambulatory care facility.
You go, girl. Woo-hoo. Okay. Go for it.
Good.
What's your next one?
That would be facilities and doctors for 300.
How'd I know? What do I mean? The answer is a group of peers who make sure a doctor follows guidelines and standards.
Board of directors. Who is the board of directors?
No, what is a peer review?
Oh.
I guess I could have let you do that.
No, that's okay.
So yeah, that's a peer review organization, or PRO.
What page is that on? I'm trying to find it.
The review is on 22, page 22.
All right, it's your turn, Kim.
Peer review.
Medical history for 100.
Symbol. The answer is it's the symbol of medicine.
It's the symbol of medicine. Okay.
You have to pronounce it correct. No kidding.
No, I don't want to give the wrong answer. Because I know
Okay.
that there were two.
Page 13. Do 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 do.
I know.
Sing it with me, Cindy. Do 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 do.
Page 13.
The staff of Colapius.
Yes. Ascubulus. Ascubulus. I had my cheat sheet.
Okay.
All right.
Where
Where are we going?
Let's go with medical history for 200.
Father of medicine.
The father of medicine. The god of medicine. Father of medicine is Hippocrates.
Yes.
All right, medical history 300.
Said physicians need to despise money.
Physicians need to despise money. Galen, Greek physician.
Okay. Go ahead.
Facilities and doctors for 400.
Oh, she's using yours. All right. The answer is admissions.
Admissions?
Mm-hmm.
What is the first place you go to in a hospital?
No. All right.
Yeah.
Cindy.
Huh?
The answer is admissions. right, but not.
Is that the question?
No, the answer is admissions.
And just so you know, my question was, what is the first place you go to in a hospital?
Okay.
Just kind of right, but not right.
The department that handles your paperwork.
Well, you said what I was looking for.
Admit you.
Yeah. You said the key word. Admissions is a department of
Yes.
the hospital.
Yes.
What is the department of a hospital?
What is the department?
Ah, okay.
All right, Miss Cindy, what are you picking?
Okay. I guess we could do chapter 1. What's in chapter 1?
Chapter 1.
At chapter 1.
For 100?
Yes.
Okay. How someone looks at information and makes it real.
Critical thinking?
Nope.
No.
Kim, it's up to you.
What is perceiving?
Correct. The
Oh.
answer was what is perceiving.
What is perceiving? Yes, I see that now.
That's okay. This is what we're doing. It's helping us learn.
Allied health or licenses?
Okay.
For 100?
The answer is RN.
RN. What is a registered nurse?
Very good.
Chapter 1 for 200.
Chapter 1. Likes to watch rather than do.
Watch,
And I'll give you a hint. It is a type of learning style.
Okay.
So the answer, Cindy, is watches rather than does, or do. Watches rather than doing.
What is concrete reflective style?
Yes. What is concrete reflective style?
Where are we at on medical history?
Medical history, we are at 400.
Okay. Medical history 400.
Medical history for 400. The first medical school. This should have been easy.
Johns Hopkins University. What is Johns Hopkins University?
Okay.
All right, medical history 500.
Okay, medical history for 500. The answer is Edward Jenner. You didn't think it was going to be easy for 500,
No, I
did
didn't
you?
think it was going to be easy for 500.
The answer is Edward Jenner.
Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, I know, right?
No.
Dun 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 dun.
You can pass it to Cindy if you
I'm
want.
passing it to Cindy.
Okay,
All
what's
right,
the question
Cindy.
again?
The answer is Edward Jenner, and that's medical history for 500.
Well, Edward Jenner created the smallpox vaccine.
Very good. So wait, you have to
How
put
do
in
you
a form of
word it
question.
though?
Who is?
Who is?
No. Who invented the
Yes.
smallpox vaccine?
Who invented smallpox vaccine?
Very good.
That's the answer?
That's the answer. That's the question.
That's the question, which is.
Okay.
In Jeopardy, it's the question.
Yeah.
All right, so we are on chapter 1 for Chapter 1, we only did one question, right?
Oh.
Oh, no, 2. So what would you like to pick? What's next?
We can do chapter 1 again. Are we at 300?
300, yep.
Okay, chapter 1 for 300.
Okay. So the answer is has a concept, a general concept, then main ideas, and then it goes off to details. This is something to help you organize your notes and study. So the answer
What is a map?
what kind?
Spider or fishbone?
Which
Or chain
one?
of events?
Which one?
Okay.
Has a concept, multiple main ideas, and details.
What is a spider map?
There you go. Go ahead. What's your next one?
Medical history 400. I mean, chapter 1.
Chapter
Four.
1. Okay. The answer is know the material, take a deep breath, and look for clues. Know the material, take a deep breath, and look for clues.
Okay. What are test-taking strategies?
Very good. What's your next pick?
Chapter 1, 500.
All right. The answer is determine the purpose, identify the main concern, organize, stop procrastinating, but most importantly, remember you. Determine the purpose, identify the main concern, organize, stop procrastinating, and remember you. You can pass it if you want.
Pass.
What is time management?
So the question was, what is time management?
Okay.
Those are your way of time managing your time, or dealing with time management. All right, Kim.
Let's just wipe out chapter 1.
Chapter. Oh, okay. The answer would be keeping eyes down.
Oh.
Keeping eyes down.
That's
What is a non-assertive behavior?
Very good. So the question was, what is a non-assertive behavior? All right, so chapter 1 we're done with. Yay! Go ahead, Kim. What, guys want to know what the score is?
Where are we at on facilities and doctors?
Facilities and doctors. We are on 500.
Let's go with that. 500.
The answer is podiatrist.
Podiatrist. What is a doctor of pediatric medicine who takes care of the feet?
Yes. So it's, what is a podiatric doctor who looks after feet? It's a podiatrist. All right.
Wipe it out.
Wipe it out?
Wipe it
Stop
out.
doing that. All right, the answer is an acute hospital. You should see the look that she just gave me, Cindy.
That's why I want to
Okay.
wipe this category out.
Huh?
I'm thinking what made.
What is a hospital equipped to handle severely ill and injured patients?
Yes. Did you hear that, Cindy?
Yes.
All right, so we have 1,000 left of, or did I wait that out? Did we do? Oh no, 1,000 left for medical history, and then we have allied health and licensing 3, 4, 5, and 2,000.
Let's do allied health.
For 300.
Yep.
Is that in chapter 1?
That one's in chapter 2.
Chapter
Allied
2.
health.
Yep. Athletic trainer. The answer, either of these are going to be allied or licensed. So,
I have to say what type it is.
yes,
Okay.
athletic trainer.
Athletic trainer. Okay. Athletic trainer.
So you have to say whether the person is licensed or an allied health, meaning they don't need, they could get a certificate.
What is allied health? What is an allied health professional?
Yes. Was it athletic trainer? But you didn't write it down. Okay, so yes, athletic trainer is an allied health percent.
Hmm?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
What's next?
400. Same category.
APRN? Is
Pass.
that a licensed or nurse or
Pass.
allied health? Cindy? An APRN.
Is that for me?
Yup.
Okay. Am I answering this?
You are.
Okay.
Or,
APRN.
Yep, or NP. Let's do that.
I'm trying to find nursing. I don't see anything for. I didn't see nurses in here before. All just doctor stuff. Doctors. I didn't see anything for nurses.
Maybe, but would it NP, would they be licensed or allied health? Meaning they would need a certificate, or do they need a license?
Say the abbreviation again.
APRN.
They would need a license.
Do you know what it stands for?
I know what RN is. if they're
Practitioner. It's an advanced practitioner
yeah,
registered.
they would for sure need a license.
Practitioner, registered nurse. Okay.
Or a nurse practitioner, an NP.
Didn't remember
I'll
going
give
on
you
with
that
that at all.
one, Cindy. All right, what's your next question? We have license and allied health for 500 or 1,000, or medical history for 1,000.
The allied health for 500.
Okay. A physical therapist. Do they need a license?
They need a license.
Certificate.
They need a license.
Actually, this is a trick question. They could do both.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
So you
And they're both spots.
okay? What is it? What is the difference between being licensed and being certified?
A licensed health professional is someone that actually, certification is different than a license.
Okay.
A license is actually someone that has gone out and gone to schooling, where a certificate is just certifying you to be someone like a certified medical assistant, someone that went and took a test that certifies it, where a license is actually, they go through the whole big huge schooling and then they get all licensed to practice.
Oh, okay. All right.
That makes sense. I'll give you that one. Because I feel like being nice. So what's your next one? You going with
Allied Health for
Allied?
1,000.
All right, here we go. An RD.
R. D is in dog.
D is in dog.
Okay.
Trying to RD.
D.
Okay, yes, they need a license.
And what is it?
I'm thinking radiologist. Is that wrong?
It is.
That was a totally wild guess.
All right.
RD.
RD.
I'll give you.
Registered.
Oh.
Oh, then that might be the Allied registered something. Well, let's see.
Give you 5 seconds, and then I'm passing it to Kim.
Okay. RD. Yes, they need a license.
Okay. And what is it?
I'm thinking a diagnostic medical sonographer.
Registered dietitian.
Oh.
Look on page
That's
32.
funny. I can't find anything like that anywhere. So,
Look at page
It took me
32.
forever to find it too.
oh, 32. I'm on 29. I see it. Well, if I would have kept going, I would have found it.
Now I see.
All right.
Okay. And there's only one left, right?
Yep. So you have medical history for 1,000. Everybody was just really on this one. All right. The answer is he developed pasteurization.
Oh. Who is
Your
Louis
answer?
Pasteur? Yeah. Who is Louis Pasteur?
Yes. Who is Louis Pasteur? Which, if you look at pasteurization, it's his
Yep.
name. All right, guys. I hope that was a little helpful and fun.
Yeah.
Any questions on anything that we've gone over tonight? Because that's it.
Okay. So I do have the quick question. You said that physical therapists can be both licensed and allied health.
Right.
Does that mean that
they're
they're
recognized
so
by
they'll be listed in, if they're both,
they're listed. He's
they'll be
listed in
listed
both, yeah.
on both things. Okay.
And they're also recognized by the American Medical Association.
Okay.
So for your assignments, chapter 1, make sure you guys, both chapters have vocabulary. Just get yourself familiarized with them. I'm going to check because on our thing it does say that there's a vocabulary test that I don't see anywhere. Make sure that obviously you read both chapters. Underneath and Evolve, under student resources, there's a thing that's called review activities. For chapter 1, I'd like you to do missing letters and list the 4 learning styles. And don't forget to email me your paragraph about what your learning style is. That's going to help me kind of form these classes. And take your quiz. There's a quiz under resources also. The review activities for chapter 2, I'd like you to do word search and spelling challenge. Don't forget to take that quiz. And then when you're ready, take both exams, both chapter exams. And then there are sample exams, the CMAA sample exams. You want to do those too. Okay? Those are more just for getting yourself used to what's going to be on the certification exam. They're not everything that we've learned, but it's something that you at least know.
Can I take a picture of that so I can?
Yeah, honey, I'm going to email you this so you'll have it.
Yeah, but I don't even have a place to get that email out. I'm going to have to go to Staples to do that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, my printer's not working for my own personal, to
Yep.
download it. Yeah, so it's a hassle.
You can also save it to your computer and then you can always review it.
Perfect. I got it.
Okay. Chapter 3 and 4 for next week is what we're going to discuss. So you just want to review that.
Okay.
The lecture will be up there so you can always review what I said today. Any questions, don't forget to email me.
Oh, you know what? I didn't get your number earlier.
Okay, here. Oh, well, I won't put it back up. Hold on.
I got 860. That's all I got.
614-8055.
Okay.
And then, if I can get this up. Oops. I messed that up. There you go. There's my email address.
Okay, good. How do you pronounce your last name again?
Zimnicki. And I'll make sure you get a copy of the syllabus.
Great.
And that's it. Is there anything else you guys need or want from me? Or have any questions? No?
I'm okay.
You're okay?
Yeah.
Then I'll see you guys back here next Wednesday.
Okay.
Sound good?
Thank you.
Thank you. It was nice to meet you.
You too.